I'm Sarah Cowgill, along with Andrew Moran, Kelly Ballard, Dave Patterson, and Scott Cosenza. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. The Biden administration agreed with the Iranian leadership to a hostage deal. $6 billion in exchange for 5 Americans held prisoner in Tehran. Washington let go of 5 Iranian citizens situated in the United States. Has Iran perfected the hostage-taking game? Hey, thanks for playing. Here's your people back, and now I'm cashing your check. What happened to the old U.S. mantra of we don't negotiate for hostages, Andrew?
Yeah, when I was assigned this story, I could not help but think of the basic economic principle: is that when you subsidize something, you get more of it. This has been a program that Iran has been doing for years. I mean, yeah, you talk about the Iran Contra incident, years ago, but just over the past few administrations under Obama, under Trump, and now Biden, Iran just keeps doing this. So the main headline in all of this is that $6 billion in frozen funds were released. Now, this is not taxpayer dollars, but it's revenues from an agreement from South Korea, who paid for oil and other Iranian products. Now, the White House has said that these funds will not be used for anything else but humanitarian purposes, like food and medicine. However, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi said in an interview with Lester Holt on NBC News that, quote, "We will decide on how the $6 billion are spent." Now, I'll allow Mr. Patterson to dive more into the geopolitics of it, but I just can't help but think of the economics of it, how you keep incentivizing Iran to take hostages, knowing that you're going to eventually concede to their demands and just let all these billions of dollars used, and who knows what they're going to be used for, nuclear purposes, terrorist purposes, whatever the case. But overall, Iran's going to keep doing this because they know they'll get away with it.
All right, Dave, you're up. And I know you got a lot to say because you've been around the horn a while.
Well,
not forever, just for a little while. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to insinuate anything there.
Well, after inventing the wheel, which I thought fire was a better name for it, but that was. I think that what we need to really emphasize is that in times past, particularly with the Trump administration, but in times past, we have been more or less quid pro quo. We give up a prisoner rightfully incarcerated, and they give us back a hostage. In this case, it looked as though that's how it was going to go, where we get back 5, we give up 5, but oh no. Taking a page out of Obama's book, we have to send pallets of bucks over to Iran to sweeten the deal. And to the national security issues here, we have seldom seen, when we give bundles of bucks to Iran, that those dollars don't turn up as payment for 122 millimeter rockets to send to Israel from Hamas and Hezbollah, and terrorism across the world. Suddenly, is Iran not the chief sponsor of global terrorism? No, we just managed to pay for it. And this is ridiculous. But it goes to a fundamental State Department and Biden mantra that is, if we're really nice to you first, will you be nice to us? And it has never worked, and it will not work this time.
Let me just say that.
Sorry.
I want to say one thing before you do, Andrew, which is that I would encourage everyone to wait for some future telling of the story when we find out who was going to benefit from Iran getting this money. What I mean by that is there's some American, the Persians are nuts for some kind of brand of potato chip or something they can't, they don't have the money to buy now, and they're going to use some of these billions for that. And I would guess there's somebody who has the power to kind of move decision making at the highest levels who would authorize this release, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. And so therefore I don't think that is the reason why. I think there's probably somebody's getting paid reason why, and the future will tell what it is.
Kelly, what do you think they're going to spend the money on?
I think they're going to spend it on finding more ways to get more hostages.
Yeah,
They're prisoners, not hostages.
Okay, that was
Sorry,
brief.
Andrew.
Before I ask my question to Mr. Patterson, I'd like to build on Scott's point there. Yeah, I mean, they say because the technical thing is that you must use this for food and medicine. Why can Iran, buy from some guy who's selling food? In the meantime, he's funding some sort of terrorist campaign. So my question is actually, Dave, John Kirby and Jake Sullivan, they went on the media. They had a press briefing on September 6th, 17th, I think it was, and they said that we're going to monitor these funds, and if there's some sort of discretion that we disapprove of, that we're going to freeze the funds. So how exactly are they? How do they monitor this money? What do they do exactly?
Well, Andrew, they're going to monitor how these funds are spent just the way they monitored how the nuclear program in Iran was developed during the Obama his approach to the nuclear agreement.
Whoopsie.
They didn't. They didn't.
Line, right?
Oh, how did that sneak in there? Goodness.
Yeah. And so this is ridiculous. And it goes to the feckless, truly naive approach that this administration takes to any threat that it has. And so you always have to be, I guess, at least skeptical when they say not to worry, we'll be able to monitor how they spend this money. They can't monitor it.
They're only performing poorly if you look at it from the liberty perspective. If you look at it from the enriching the people who put them into power perspective, they're doing a great job.
I know.
If they lose track of
I want to compare what the United States just did with how the hostage crisis in 1979 was handled. And I'm old enough to remember it. I was in high school. Dave's old enough to remember it. I don't know about the rest of you because you had all been Andrew probably wasn't born yet, but
I was not. I was a
that was a Carter problem. That was a Carter problem, start to finish. Lives were lost, things were handled poorly, and then we elected Reagan.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's what did the trick.
Calling these 5 hostages, Sarah, I think is a bit. It's not right. They're not hostages; they're prisoners. Are the Iranian prisoners that we released, are they hostages or are they just prisoners?
Yeah, but I think the circumstances are quite different. But I want to speak to the Reagan administration and how we got our hostages back. And that was that Reagan projected a strength of character and a will to do things that have been painfully obvious, or that they just don't exist with the Biden administration. Reagan had the presence that said he will do precisely what he said he would do, unlike this administration, which has failed in that respect. I think to Scott, to your point, and you make a good one, that somebody benefits, but I can guarantee it's not the American taxpayer.
Yeah,
like that $600 hammer we're always hearing about, right?
I think what's interesting about this saga is that I think it's another example of why the whole global, maybe not to go into so much economics here, but the whole de-dollarization campaign is going to overdrive, because when the West has power to freeze funds, the Iran and other countries will see this and say, okay, we have to get off the SWIFT. We have to stop depending on Western financial institutions. We have to stop depending on all these antiquated organizations and build our own system. And yet, what do you see? You see Iran joining the BRICS coalition, all these other anti-dollar, anti-West entities. So this is just further acceleration of it, and this is going to lead to broader consequences, just like you saw with Russia when the U.S. government just froze everyone's funds and took everyone's money. So I said, this is going to be.
So that's the silver lining you're saying, Andrew. This is a good thing of.
Well, not necessarily, because if everyone abandons the dollar, then all this money is going to go back to the United States. You have hyperinflation, so all this is just a snowball effect. And
the way our leaders use the dollar, though, I think is it's used in a very much in an anti-liberty.
Well, yeah, it's
an anti-liberty way. So it might benefit the American people eventually if they actually successfully did get off the dollar train, right?
Well, the way the U.S. weaponizes the U.S. dollar, they have to keep maintaining that system in order to prevent the hyperinflation from occurring in the United States. So the American people, I mean, it's a ridiculous policy, and it's based on just the ineptness of U.S. politicians. But if you want to maintain the status quo and ensure the dollar's the international reserve currency, then you have to keep weaponizing it, and that's a sad state of affairs today.
Well, I don't know if any of us can completely all agree on this. I'm telling you, math is a little over my head anyway, but I don't believe in negotiating with terrorists. Never have. And perhaps new leadership taking the oath in 2025 will settle these people down a bit. Kind of like Reagan in 1981. Thanks, panel. That's it. 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. And Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our television productions. I'm Sarah Cowgill. Thank you for joining us today for Free Thinking, Free Speech, LibertyNation.com.
Don't get caught up in the media madness. Join our movement for free thinking and free speech at LibertyNation.com. Publishing news and analysis 24/7 with original articles by our team of authors who tell it like it is. Join us each week for online TV shows, The Uprising Podcast, and Liberty Nation Radio. We believe in free thinking and free speech. We are LibertyNation.com.